Hi, Raina. Thank you so much for coming onto the show today. It's such an honor to have you. Our first question for you is Raina. We would love to hear about your story and career development. Let's start from the very beginning. How did your post secondary experiences lead you to where you are today?
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. And to kind of start in terms of where I went to school, I graduated from Rotman Commerce at University of Toronto. So it's the downtown campus in Toronto. And of course, with the kind of wealth of opportunities that there are there, I had a lot of time and a lot of experiences that kind of shaped me to the professional that I am today. In all honesty, I had a really great time both on and off campus with all the opportunities that were available to me. And the Rotman Commerce undergraduate program itself, it's a perfect blend because it's jointly run by Rotman School of Management as well as the Faculty of Arts and Science. So it provided me a good, solid foundation in business studies and also gave me the opportunity to explore new studies and be involved in different faculties on campus, try out a range of different courses from biology to astronomy, which really helped shape me and make me a well rounded student. And being in Toronto itself, it kind of gave me the opportunity to be able to consistently step outside my comfort zone. Having grown up in and around Toronto, I knew there were opportunities, great experiences to have had in downtown Toronto, but it's really what you make most of it. And I was actually very fortunate that while going to school full time, I was able to take part in different clubs and activities on campus. And I also worked as a finance assistant for the university. So it was for U of T Communications. And that's where really my passion for accounting really kickstarted, essentially. It laid the groundwork that I needed. It really just gave me that springboard that I needed to be able to confidently go into my career. And of course, I had amazing CPAs and people and mentors that I was working with, especially my direct supervisor, my director. And as a CPA, she was just super inspiring. So from there on, it just felt like the right thing to do. For me, the pieces kind of started falling together. And I had the opportunity to take that experience and the skill set that I gained and seamlessly transition into my role as an accountant when I started right out of school at a public accounting firm. So I would really have a lot of thanks to give to all my professors and my mentors that I've had throughout my post secondary experience, but also the friendships I've made along the way. These are the amazing, talented people that I work with now, a lot of them, and I kind of come across in my career and in my paths and see the wonderful things that they're doing too. So that's kind of the environment that I was in. And I would just really encourage people to put yourself out there, step out of your comfort zone, and create opportunities for yourself because it can be overwhelming at times to be on such a large campus in a college or university and you don't know where to get started. But just focus on the small things. It's not about how much you do, but it's about how best you make use of your time. So if you do things that you love and you're interested in, you're passionate about, eventually you'll be doing things that are meaningful to you and you'll meet people who are kind of have the same mindset as you and you just end up moving forward from there and just growing. There's no time to look back essentially when you're in an environment like that.
Wow, I love it. And it reminds me of this phrase that goes, time is your best currency. Spend it wisely.
Yes. 100%. And that has been my motto ever since I was in school. It's not about how much you do or how many things you get on to kind of slap onto your resume. That's not the goal here. The goal when you're a post secondary student or even a working professional is to keep learning and growing and to make those meaningful relationships, right? Make your experiences and your time count. And at the end of the day, that's only possible when you do things that you enjoy. And that's different for everyone. So not to try to mold yourself a certain way based on the school that you go to, based on the program that you end up in, but try to find ways to kind of explore and learn more about what meets your interests and your passions. And that's kind of where I'm at today. And so I was fairly involved in working with students actually when I was a university student myself. And so I kind of get involved with working with CPE students now. And it's just amazing to be able to kind of see them through their journey as well. Just kind of reminds me of my own journey. So it's actually super exciting. Yeah.
That sounds incredibly rewarding. It's a full circle.
It definitely is a full circle for sure.
So, Reina, my next question for you as a senior accountant, can you share with us what are some essential skills that you think a successful accountant should have?
So, one thing I'd like to say when I got out of school, one of the things that I learned from a lot of my seniors, managers, and partners, they really encouraged us to ask questions, actively listen, and take the initiative to challenge yourself. And these were things that you'll kind of hear everyone say on repeat. And that's because that's really important. It works. And once you put yourself in the shoes of being someone who can challenge yourself, no matter what the role is, whether you start as an accountant in a public accounting firm out of school, or you start in any other role in your career, or you take a different path. It's all about being able to take the initiative, challenge yourself, because you're kind of sowing the seeds for yourself in your career at that start. So it's so important to be able to kind of nourish yourself with all these experiences and all the challenges that you can face in your work and take on new projects. And that really ends up shaping you and giving you that skill set that you need as you grow as a professional and in your career. For me, as a senior accountant, in my role, what makes me successful is that I'm able to engage with my clients, my teams, my partners really well. And that comes down to just being who you are and communicating. So speaking up, whether it's Teams calls or client meetings. One thing I'd like to point out, the fact that we're hybrid now, it might seem less intimidating and less daunting to be able to just speak up on a Teams call versus if you were sitting in a boardroom, for example. Everyone's had a starting point in their career, they know where you're coming from. So it's not about whether you say anything right or wrong, it's about knowing that you can speak up, share ideas, communicate, which becomes very critical in building your other skill sets. And of course, as an accountant, we have to be critical thinkers. That's a large part of what we do as auditors as well. And then engaging again, coming back to just communication and engagement with client and your teams because it's a people business. If you're an introvert, you need to just be able to put yourself out there a few times and see what works for you and just creating engaging conversations and learning from those conversations. All of that really kind of captures what you have to do and the skill sets you need to in order to be successful. But it's not just in the role of as a senior accountant, but really in any role. I might be generalizing here, but the reason why I wanted to say that was because all these skill sets are so transferable that you can kind of create that opportunity for yourself to build those skill sets.
Absolutely. And Reina, with the recent disruption of AI, such as Chat GPT, our people skills are more important than ever. A lot of students might think being an accountant is all about the numbers and the spreadsheet, but it sounds like from you, the people skills, emotional intelligence, creativity are probably the most important characteristics to have. And so this leads me to my next question. How do you envision incorporating innovation and technology into your daily work as a senior accountant? And can you provide some specific examples?
I love what you said about the fact that AI and technologies are disrupting our world, our working professional lives as well. But at the end of the day, as accountants, while we might be boxed in as saying we're numbers thinkers, we're really very balanced when it comes to working with people as well. And that's a huge part of what I do daily is working with my team, supervising or leading my engagements, working with my managers and different clients as well. And despite all of that, we still have to make sure that we balance it with our work that we actually do, which is numbers driven. And so a lot of it really comes down to making full use of the technologies we implement. So a lot of the daily work that I do, I leverage some applications and tools like Idea, Caseware. Excel is fairly common and everyone uses it, like you mentioned, spreadsheets and macros. But there are a lot of data analytic tools out there, a lot of other tools that help you house like a trial balance, for example, help you navigate different sets of data that you're working with that your client provides you, that you have to extract information from to be able to understand what is the information telling you, how do I make best use of this, and how do I sample from this, for example. And all of the bits and pieces of the work that you do as part of, for example, like an audit engagement, really comes down to how best you make use of these tools efficiently so that you're not spending a lot of time in just sifting through data. You're allowing technology to help you to do that. You're saving time to better use it elsewhere. One common example, and I see that across a lot of engagements that I've worked on, is the tools that I end up using, like for example, IDEA, to be able to capture and summarize my data. A lot of times I'm able to better explain to my client on what it is that we're looking for, or if there are some differences, we're able to hop on a call and I'm able to show them exactly how we extracted this information, where things are missing, or where there might be certain journal entries that we might have to look at. A lot of these tools makes it a lot easier for us to share the information and analyze it and work on it as a team. It's not a one person job. When we're using technology, it comes down to having a lot of hands on deck, and technology makes it easier for a lot of people to have eyes on different things and helping figure things out and analyze the data. So a lot of it just comes down to how best you would make use of what you have. And I've been noticing a trend that we definitely use a lot more tools and applications now versus just even 3 years ago when I first started in public accounting. So we've kind of getting used to how all these technologies can help us become better accountants, and also like at the end of the day also help us grow our teams as well.
Okay, I learned lots about, different ways to be creative in accounting today. Thank you so much. So, Reina, here's my final question for you, and I think this is a question that a lot of our students wants to know about. For aspiring CPAs who are preparing for their exams, upcoming CPA exams, do you have any tips and advice in terms of how to prepare for that?
I love this question because I've worked with so many CPA students through my time, and of course, having had my own journey as a CPA student as well. And what really comes down to is making sure that you are comfortable with the trial and error process. While you're in school, a lot of students will relate that trying to understand what works best for you in terms of studying habits, whether you're doing an independent studying or you're doing peer to peer group studying, you know what works best for you. And the CPA process and the path is so amazing in the way that it's structured because it's giving you enough time to know and understand what works for you. And of course, the end goal, the way people see it, is the CFE, which is the 3-day examination for CPA students that comes after their CPA PEP path, or if they took another path to complete their other PEP courses. That particular exam is very much case heavy. So it's case-based writing, and it's a good balance between qualitative and quantitative analysis. And so a lot of the work that goes into it really just comes down to how well you start organizing yourself from the very beginning. So if you're taking your core ones, core two, and your elective modules, I highly recommend making sure that you're staying organized with the content that you're learning and the notes that you're making, the schedule that you set for yourself, because this is more like a marathon. So, with every exam that you study for, you're really just preparing yourself. You are strengthening your technical for that CFE exam. And at the end of the day, that exam is not be it end all. Take all of those skill sets and transfer it as a professional, essentially, because I didn't realize how much I'd be using the standards until I'm a senior accountant and I work with my clients and they ask me questions in terms of how do I recognize this, or I have an intangible, how does this work? So all of these things that you're learning, you're really incorporating into your career. So think of it as a long run game. Make sure that you're preparing yourself well for it by taking the time out, setting schedules, and dedicating at least an hour or 2 hours every other day, if not every day, leading up to your exams will really help you set up yourself for success. And one other thing I'd like to mention is because it's case writing based exams, practicing helps a lot. So make sure you're connecting with your peers and connecting with your colleagues who have written these exams before, because they'll provide you with a lot of the support that you need. It's emotional and mental support as well, because you can have many textbooks in front of you to help you with your technical, but this is also about staying focused and, just being in a good space, being healthy as well throughout the process. So reach out, ask for support and ask for help, because you have no idea. There's so many people who are just willing to help you. And that's what I really love about the profession. All the CPAs that I've met so far, they know how grueling the process is. So they're more than happy to always lend a hand. So never be afraid to ask for help and ask questions.
So, Raina, in today's business world, it seems like the only constant is change. In fact, some of the jobs that existed 10 years ago don't even exist today. So perhaps the jobs that exist today in 10 years, they won't even exist. So, how do we keep up with change?
Keeping up with change is such an amazing aspect that I think CPAs are well versed in. Being able to adapt to any industry, any role is something that CPAs will always be very confident about. The fact that we can adapt really well and be versatile as well. And with the changes that we're seeing, whether it's technology related or even workforce related changes, we know that a lot of the work that we do, yes, can be taken up and completed by technology in a matter of seconds versus us taking hours or X amount of time on it. But to look at this positively is really important, because if anything, it really just frees up our time to do somewhere where it requires human skills. It's the human centric skills that no technology can really provide in connecting with people or in being able to identify issues. And, you can leverage technology as much as you want to research, but when it comes down to analyzing and evaluating the options, make critical judgments, all of those decision making aspects really comes down to the person. And what I'm trying to get at is the fact that yes, our roles will evolve 100%, but we definitely won't be out of our jobs. A lot of people are afraid that technology will replace us. What are the jobs that we would be able to do? But the beautiful thing about CPA is that in that versatility, it's also talking about the fact that technology cannot replace us either, because of that versatility and that adaptability that we have. And of course, it does come down to making sure that we're staying on top of the game, like making sure that we have all our professional hours. We're making sure that we're learning on an ongoing basis, and also learning new tools and technologies on how best to incorporate that in our work life, while making sure that what's core to us and our skill sets in engaging with people and in making professional judgments stays true to us, can't necessarily be replaced by technology.
Raina, thank you so much for your wisdom today and for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.